Alright, folks, hello and welcome back to Downstage Gaming. I'm your host, Josh, and this is part 10 of our Let's Play of Head as Code. When we last left off, well, we'd gone on a journey with E to a church, we got to actually solve a puzzle, and then we came back all confident because we knew A's name now. I've already forgotten what it is, it's something weird. I was gonna say, like Alphonse or something, but that's not even close. It's something real weird. But anyways, then we just heard what sounded a whole lot like a gunshot. So unfortunately, the noise I just heard robbed me of all my optimism. A sense of dread slowly spread throughout my body. Was that a gunshot? It was a glacial feeling. The question wasn't if it was a gunshot or not. The question was who shot and who got shot. In my usual way, I started imagining the worst. I imagined Marco lying on the ground, bleeding to death. Really? Is that the first person? I would have imagined it would have been Jasmine. Okay, Jasmine's second. I imagined Jasmine against a wall, immobile and dying. What if Agnos got shot? Agnos, that's it. All possibilities of learning the truth about him would evaporate. What if it was Ray? No one would care. I clenched my teeth. It was too early to say. Instead, I yanked E to the metallic wall. I was hearing some footsteps from above. What is it? She asked. She spoke. She made noise. I had to stop that, so I put my hand over her mouth. The girl understood quickly, and she ceased any sort of movement. That's surprising. If I was blind and deaf and somebody, did that to me, even in this kind of weird situation, I would probably struggle and be like, what the hell are you doing? The train betrayed me when its little chime rang out and it drove away. Whoever was upstairs would know there was someone downstairs now. Oh, boy. The footsteps stopped. Instead, there was silence, other than some grumbling or moaning. Another gunshot followed. The person hadn't been on their way to leave the room yet. Perhaps they didn't realize someone came to the station. The element of surprise may still be on my side. Finally, those heavy steps came closer and closer. The staircase creaked as the steps grew louder. The footwear was probably a pair of boots. What a bother, what a mess. Unavoidable, but unfortunate. I recognized that voice and those boots. They both belonged to Agnos. That sense of dread from earlier grew tenfold. If he was the one with the gun, then that meant the others. I couldn't panic here. If he found me here, he might not like me learning he'd shot in cold blood. I held my breath and counted the steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Finally, I sensed him in the lobby. Even a rat caught in a corner would strike back if it had no choice. I was the rat, and he was cornering me, as the train was no longer here to flee the scene. It's quite a little pose there. Quite a long barrel, too, I think. I mean, I'm not a gun expert, but that seems pretty long to me. As soon as I saw him step through the door frame, I let go of E and grabbed his wrist. Right afterwards, I slammed his arm against the wall, twisting it upwards while he gave a moan of pain. What are you doing, you idiot? Either I got lucky or he wasn't as strong as I thought he was. Perhaps it was merely our age difference at play. I mean, that would probably factor a lot into this. Sadly, my luck wouldn't hold out. While he dropped the gun to the ground, he did something else, too. Punched me in the face. I lost my balance and the world spun around me as I fell to the ground, pulling him down alongside me. However, with surprising agility, he stood back up to his feet and dusted himself off. Are you afraid due to the gun? I'm simply ensuring that whoever is behind this game is removed from it. As there was no conclusive evidence, I'm removing everyone who isn't me. Logical stuff, Agnos. I wasn't a very good fighter, but he was still an old man, so I took my chance. I lunged at his legs and quickly got him down to the ground again. This time he was dazed by the hit, so I reached over and grabbed the revolver. I wasn't used to firearms, so I couldn't do anything substantial with this right now, but I could keep it out of his grasp. While he rubbed his side and took longer to get back up, I grabbed his hand and pulled her into the lobby. Didn't take long for us both to make it up the stairs. I couldn't explain to her what was happening. I had no time for any of this. All I knew is that I needed to clear our names of this business. Once Agnos would realize that we weren't Smiley or his accomplice, then he would have no reason to pursue us. I'd momentarily forgotten about what would be upstairs. I glanced into the lounge, which was perhaps a grave mistake. The grim sight greeting me was nauseating. There were spots of blood everywhere. many bodies. Not just 1, 2, 3. No, there were 4. All of them had been shot square in the head. With 4 deaths, I assumed the revolver had used 4 of its 6 shots. The 4 dead were Ray, one of the twins, and... I fell to my knees, suddenly dizzy. The other 2 were Jasmine and Marco. They were both dead. They were lying there, dead as shit. Dead. Both of them. I would never talk to Jasmine again. I'd never hear another one of Marco's stupid jokes. I hated those jokes, but this I hated more. I hated it far more. I couldn't move. I felt like solid rock. Eve was still standing next to me, and she didn't know what to do. Clearly, this girl was scared, but I couldn't move. I was stuck in a strange state, like solid rock, cold, weathered by time, full of heavy nothing. Mechanically, I turned my head towards E. She was still alive, though. This girl, this nice girl who didn't deserve any of this, was still alive. Slowly, I stood back up. This girl who had been nothing but nice to me. She was like a goddess coming down from above. Despite doing nothing, her mere presence brought me back to reality. That's right. She was still alive, and so was I. I took a long breath after having forgotten to do so for a short eternity. I wanted to mourn my friends, but... the bodies end here. No more. I clenched my teeth again. I could have made the cowardly choice of lying down on the ground and accompanying my friends far, far away. I could have. But I was resolute now. For the first time, I decided that enough was enough. I wouldn't let Agnos kill more people. I grabbed E's hand. I couldn't bring her to danger again, but leaving her in a room full of dead bodies was not my idea of a good date either. She was safer with me. This girl was the most precious person as a fellow survivor. We went back down the stairs. I had to deal with Agnos. I looked around the station once I was in the lobby, but he was nowhere to be found. Where could he have hid? I guess he could have maybe gone on a train? I hadn't heard footsteps, so he didn't go to the other side. Where was he? I stepped into the station. He wasn't on the other side, nor was he on the rails. He wasn't waiting for me. I only noticed where he was as a small clank echoed from afar. The station had 2 ends leading into a small, dark maintenance tunnel. The gates were locked, preventing our access to them. However, the old man disappeared inside one of those tunnels, and he didn't come out. Damn it. In the darkness, he would have the advantage. I couldn't afford that. I cursed him back into the lobby. This no longer was a viable option to pursue for the time being. Instead, I went over to the other side with E. I decided to take the train and put some distance between Agnos and us. Probably a good idea. Just as quickly as before, I made my way out of the lobby. I couldn't see if Agnos was capable of seeing me on this side. Just in case, if he could, I flipped the bird in his direction. That'll show him. That'll teach him. That'll show him what's what. The train was coming. It was remarkably fast, confirming the thought I had earlier. This train was the only train here, wasn't it? It didn't have to take anybody else at the moment, so it could pick me up quickly. I looked around the station for any signs of something capable of picking up our presence, but I didn't see anything. Once again, pulling E by the hand, I stepped into the train with her. Once she sat down, I started writing. What is happening? Please, let me know! I was getting to it, but it would take a while. As I wrote, the chime rang out. As I wrote, the train drove off. Everyone is dead? How could this happen? I suppose I don't have a reason not to follow you everywhere now. But are you sure? Is it really what you saw? The girl looked positively mortified. I couldn't blame her. I elaborated upon the fact I only saw 1 twin, so perhaps the other was safe. Yeah, I'm trying to remember who went with who now. Agnos had gone with one of the twins. I don't remember which one. I believe Ray had gone with Jasmine. So then presumably Marco went with the other twin. But it's weird that then both Marco would be there and not the 2 twins, right? So you would wonder how the one got away there. I elaborate upon the fact I only saw 1 twin, so perhaps the other was safe. Do you know which one died? I was told they were identical, so perhaps not. Oh no. I didn't think all of this would get so bloody. I thought it would just be a fun time for fun people. This is truly terribly horrible. While I'd been writing, I mounted up another part of my plan. The station I would go to was the fourth from the lounge, the one I forgot to explore earlier with E. That station would hopefully give me some answers. We need to find a way to leave this hell as fast as possible. She was right. This was hell. I couldn't stop thinking about the bodies, dead, cold on the floor, which was equally as cold. I had to stop thinking about it. That was then. This was now. The train stopped. I couldn't let anything destroy my resolve. I only had one chance at this. If I died, it would all be over, and E would be dead as well. Speaking of E, I had to ask her what her name was. I decided to keep that as an incentive to escape. I would only do it once I would be safe and sound outside. No, we should find out now, because it's probably going to end up being some important twist later. The train left behind me after I contemplated that idea. The first order of business was clearing up my name, finding out that fucking password, and confronting A once I'd amassed all the shitty information he wanted me to find. I held my head in a hand. I started swearing in my thoughts. I needed to calm down. Pulling E along again, I stepped into the lobby, then went up the stairs. Interesting. Fun little gym! And arrived at this station's special room. It was a large gymnasium. Not gonna get any answers here, am I? Just a sweet pickup game. Maybe I should just think about it. What about you, E? Oh, you have an idea? Sure, that'll work. Here, I'll let you have a crack at it. Feel free to use those eyes to see what the problem is and your ears to hear what I'm saying. Stop being a jerk, Simon. Oh, I forgot. You can't see anything. You can't hear anything. Oops, my bad. Fuck, I'm going insane. I didn't mean to turn her disabilities into a mockery. Well, you did. I was just stressed out. I was frustrated at the situation, not at her. She was difficult to deal with. If only she could see and hear. I communicated with her some of my ideas, asking her if she had some. Well, if you want to clear our names of suspicion, the best way would be to find Smiley and apprehend him, but that seems impossible. But first, let's think about Smiley a little. From what you said, if we're pulling from the pool of those who are still alive, Smiley is anyone between Agnos, myself, you, or the other twin. Otherwise, Smiley is already, dead, which there's no reason to believe that that isn't true. Like, there was no thing about, like, hey, if you kill Smiley, this whole thing ends. I don't think he was seeing the other twin yet, so for now, let's consider them as a possible threat. It's sad to say, but we can't clear the other twin of suspicion. That means all we need to do is prove that she's Smiley, even if I don't want to do that. Something didn't feel right with E's words. I hadn't seen the other twin at all, that was true, but I thought about the team compositions we had. Jasmine had gone with Ray, G had gone with Marco, and Agnos had gone with H. Okay. Thinking about it that way, the bodies that turned up were Jasmine, Ray, and Marco. There was also a twin, but it was either G or H. Agnos had gone with H, so it's possible he would have killed her too. That's true, he could have killed her in some different place, like the room they went to, and then came back alone. But then where was G? No, this didn't add up. If Agnos killed H, then he could have done so many, many times. He could have done it in the room they explored. He could have done it on the station outside that room, and the lobby too. That meant that twin was probably G, who had gone with Marco. If all the teams came back, then why we didn't see H was simple. Agnos killed her, but not at the lounge. Yeah, that does seem logical. I didn't have the time to investigate that. I shared my idea with E. You think so? If she's already dead, then we can't manage to prove she's Smiley, and this means we're the last ones alive. You said we were at a station, right? She took a small pause, unsure what she should say about it, but eventually she made her question clear. If this station has already been explored, couldn't we just leave? Each of them has an exit, correct? I didn't understand the question. She should have been aware of the rules. Agnos shared those details with her, right? A cold shiver ran up my spine at that realization. Maybe the hand communication was just for show. Maybe she had absolutely no idea of what the rules really were, or perhaps he purposefully avoided telling her, as if he had intended her to die at some point due to a mistake like that. Damn it. Can't even tell you because there's barely any paper left. Fuck! Reusing any of them was actually impossible due to the way the pens work the paper. I tried doing it with one earlier, but the paper just tore up under the pressure. That wasn't good. I have to be careful what info I share with her. God damn it. I guess I don't have a choice. I'll do a quick cursory look over this room. I stood up and went to search the room. Agnos wasn't stupid, and he had a goal. Also, I thought that he probably wanted to live too, it seems likely, so he wouldn't blindly run up the stairs if he happened to get here. My presence upstairs with E was, in a way, a deterrent. He was aware of the rules and how we couldn't step in the lobby or beyond with more than 2 people at once. On the other side of the room was a prison leading to a few lockers. I searched that quickly, but nothing jumped at me. Back on this side, there was a safe. It was already unlocked when I checked. I opened it, and on the back I saw a message. It made little sense and was clearly used for whatever puzzle was in this room. Otherwise, the safe was empty. This safe. It's a safe. It could keep things safe. Agnos isn't stupid. He's very cunning. Maybe he could even trick me again and steal back this gun. If that happens, fuck. I had an opportunity to get rid of the gun right here and now. If I hid it and only I knew where it was, he would have no choice but to take things slowly. I didn't find a password in this room. I didn't find a clue about Smiley. I didn't find anything really relevant, but I could get rid of this gun. Despite my resolve, I knew that I would shake in my boots when the time came to use it. This was dangerous for me, not for anyone else. I didn't even know how to operate it. Time was ticking down, too. Agnos would find us sooner or later. I already weighed my options. I could confront Agnos with the gun, or leave the gun here and investigate a way to leave otherwise. The third option was also the mega door I could unlock with a remote, but I still didn't know the password for it. If only I had hints about the password, but until I did so, my options were limited. What was I thinking exactly? I had every piece of this puzzle in my hand. The remote, the gun, and E were all on my side. If I let go of any of them, I'd suffer when the time would come for the confrontation. Before I moved against Agnos, I would needed some kind of plan. First, I needed to understand what he really intended to do, but I also needed to avoid him while doing it. I mean, we already kind of know what he wants to do, right? I wrote to E with one of my last papers. Like, he wants Smiley dead. And then presumably to leave. But mainly he wants this whole plan of Smiley's to be done with, right? He wants to make sure it doesn't... Whatever Smiley wants, he wants to make sure that doesn't happen. 2 remained after this. So we're going to explore a new station. Is that really necessary at this point? If what you said is true, it doesn't sound that safe. I squeezed her hand tighter in mine to reassure her. Unlike what she might have been thinking, this preparation was to be sure we'd be safe and not in danger. We stepped out of the room and went downstairs to take the train. While it took its time getting to us, I was thinking about what to do. The best course of action was to go all the way to the other side, as far away from Agnos as I could get to. We entered the train, and we resumed the little subway cycle. The train closed its doors. Then left the station. Brocane Station! Then we came to another one. The doors open. Then closed. Whoa! Alas, this cycle wouldn't be quite the same this time. An earthquake shook the train before it left from one of the stations to another, leaving me and E to hold on to the interior to avoid falling down. Oof! What's happening? Ah! Damn! Which one's next? According to the speakers, the pool had been next. However, the train didn't move to leave the station. I decided to leave it after a few minutes. Once we were outside, I waited for the train to go. It didn't move even after I left it. Is something broken? I looked towards the tunnel. It was completely dark. Amidst the darkness, I could faintly make out an outline. Was it another train? No, it was a pile of debris. The tunnel had collapsed. That was why the train wasn't moving from here. Damn it! Where else can we go? I checked out the little hallway in the darkness, but the gate was locked. I swore under my breath. Come to think of it, the door leading up to the station was also closed. I couldn't explore here at all. Why was it closed? Was there someone here? Was it the twin? No, it wasn't the twin. Looking into the window proved it was nothing more than a pile of rubble. The staircase was just as ruined as the tunnel. What the hell is going on here? Was it an earthquake? Shit, we have to go. We have to leave this place. I quickly explained to E using one of my very last sheets of paper. Only one more remained after this. My plan was simple. We were going to walk through the tunnel. That's absurdly dangerous. We can't do this. Well, maybe in normal circumstances, but right now I guess we have no choice. Do you think we'll avoid every train until we get to another station? If one of them, even just one of them came by, we'd die instantly. I knew that, but we had no choice. It was either that or stay here, starve and die, or even worse, be crushed by falling rubble. This place wasn't secure anymore. Maybe it was never secure. With all the pieces in my hand, I felt too confident to stay here and wait like a coward. I dropped down from the side of the station and helped E down there too, careful to avoid the rails. I instructed her to follow directly behind me. If she wanted, she could also hold on to me. That was my last paper, but it was a necessity. Okay. E grasped my body from behind. Hers was warm and nice, comfortable even, if kind of heavy, and a constant reminder that I wasn't doing this for myself. I was doing this for both of us. Slowly, I set off. Unable to see, I walked through the darkness of the tunnel. I was hoping it wouldn't bend, but the rails were supported by another piece of cement. If my foot hit that, I could adjust myself. It took a long time. Are we hearing other explosions from other stations? A very long time passed. Another earthquake occurred, but I held on. Even more time went by. Finally, I emerged into another station. We made it. How much longer do we have to, though? Is this station fine? The station led to what was referred to only as the bedroom. I stopped, and E squeezed tighter around me. She was still there, too. Good. I looked over the side of the station, and through the door's window. Rubble. Rubble everywhere. Even if the station looked fine under a certain angle, there were debris in other places that suffered more than the previous one. Shit. We have to go through another one. Our trek resumed. This was repeated for the library, the pantry, and the lounge. Deciding not to stop at the lounge, I kept going, unwilling to see dead bodies again. While I was walking, an idea came to me. The damage done to these stations was far too big to be the work of just an earthquake. Besides, earthquakes didn't really happen here. Not like this. It's obviously some kind of explosion, right? As I crossed to each station, there were more earthquakes happening. The ground shook, and I stopped to keep myself steady. Each of them, one by one, always while I was in the darkness, as if it was following me. These aren't earthquakes. They're explosions. Josh was completely right. The entire place is going under. So the question right now, then, is that Agnos doing something to, like, bring the house down, so to speak, to really put an end to all this? Or is this some kind of, like, contingency plan? Say if one of the people that died were Smiley or something, and, like, if they somehow, if something were to happen to them, this was what would happen to all the rooms or something. I gritted my teeth, and I made my way to the security room. Either this was Smiley's plan, or someone else was destroying this place. What I just said. I could only think of Agnes. This reminded me of the events that had transpired not long ago on the subway in New York. They said that every station had exploded. Was it the same here? According to what the old man told me, he was the one who cleaned house. That was one way of doing it. He was the architect of that destruction, huh? And now, I had proof of it firsthand. When I arrived at the security station, he was there. I dropped E and drew out my gun. Step away from the edge of the station. I ordered him to move, despite the fact he had the high ground, and we all know how that goes when someone has the high ground. I was armed, and he was not. Well, well, if it isn't my assistant. What help you have been. Thankfully, I'm in a good mood. You're the only one. Did you forget you killed my friends? Now, calm down. I see you still have the gun. You can kill me now if you want, but if you do, this entire place will collapse right over your head. That's what I thought. You're the one who screwed us over. Ah, that wasn't my intention. All I wanted to do was destroy this place for the good of mankind. Surely you must agree that terrible things happen here. Honestly, I don't give a fuck. I just want to leave this place, okay? And I will personally let you out, and even drive you to your home in a limousine if I had one, so long as you open that ridiculous door. I don't know how to. Lies and falsehoods. You're the one who managed to lure me into a false sense of security. I was tricked by you, Smiley, but no more. I clenched my teeth harder. I was getting angry by the second, but there was little I could do. With the gun trained at him, I could keep him from coming closer, but at this distance, any shot taken would probably miss. Listen, I don't know how to open that stupid door. I don't care. Do whatever you want. I'll even give you that damn remote. I'm not Smiley. I don't know who the fuck it is. It can't be any of the three of us at this point, so stop accusing me. I mean, we don't know that it can't be any of the three of us. It's probably not Agnos. But it could be either of us two in some weird situation. I reached into the bag with my hands and snagged at the remote while keeping the gun at him. I flung the remote over the edge of the station, sliding it over the smooth ground. It was the only sound interrupting my monologue. You killed my friends. Jasmine and Marco, the both of them were here. If I was Smiley, why the fuck would I put them here? Why would I be here too? You know, I kind of like Jasmine. I was kind of into her. No, fuck this. I loved her, you asshole. I love that fucking girl. You killed her without a single care. You killed her, and you killed Marco, and you robbed me of my friends. Hey, if you take another step, I'll shoot. I should gun you down right now for all you did. I saw him take a step forward, but I quickly remedied that by adjusting my aim. He seemed to be thinking about what I was saying and weighing if it was worth it. My aim's better when I've got nothing to lose. If this is the result of what your organization does, then it can go to hell. I swear to God, I'll send you there myself if you don't give me the way out right now. I was running on adrenaline by this point. I wasn't in control of myself anymore. All I felt was anger, sadness, hatred, and other powerful emotions I couldn't even name. I sensed dread, danger, but also euphoria. I was tired. I didn't want this madness anymore. I wanted out of here. I see. Believe me, I understand your plight. I glared at him as he made fun of my predicament. He held his hands up defensively. Oh no, I'm being most sincere. I truly understand your pain, but that is a story for another time. How about never? Also fair. You want to leave, don't you? I'll give you specific instructions that will let you do so. It's a little complicated, but I already tested it, and the results speak for themselves. I didn't trust that bastard. I understand you don't trust me, but I have deduced you are not my enemy. I didn't trust that bastard for a single second, but I didn't have a choice. This was the final step. Fine. Agnos reached into his bag and took out a collar. I still have this one. It is the collar of the twin known as H. So she was dead, killed by him, no doubt. If you go to one of the scanner gates leading out of this place, you should be able to throw the collars I left in the lounge through them. They won't activate. That is because the scanners are unresponsive. I don't know why, but the collars didn't activate when I sent the other pair through. Are you sure it's not just because they were already dead? No, of course not. I went through just fine, too. I assume they shut down when I dismantled the power source. Can even tell you what's beyond the scanners if you don't believe me. What is it? It's an elevator. Surely it must be one of the elevators which are normally used by people with disabilities in their legs, or for larger cargo. I didn't take it, of course, because I wasn't done here. Okay? So if I throw these collars, it'll all be fine? That's just so you can see for yourself. I doubt it makes a difference if you throw the collars through the scanners now or not. Well, you better get going. I won't detonate anything further until you make your way back. I hesitated. I didn't have a choice, so I acknowledged his advice. Okay, sure. Pray we never meet again. Yes, pray we never meet again. I will be leaving this place once every station has been destroyed anyway. That is true justice, my boy. The truest justice. The one who stays alive decides it. By the time he was done talking about delusions of grandeur, I was already back on the trek. I had quite a ways to go through the tunnel before I arrived there. I cast one glance back towards the station and saw Agnos leave through one of the dark hallways on the sides. That bastard was walking station to station too? If he was doing it, perhaps they were closer than I imagined. When I walked, it didn't seem that far either, giving credence to this idea. I focused back on the trek. Just like before, while I walked, there was another earthquake. Did he just say he wasn't gonna do this? That bastard! Did he lie to us to continue detonating the bombs in peace? Assuming he was doing it in order, he started with the power generator, and the next one had been the lounge. That motherfucker. I still made my way there because I didn't trust what he said. Back to the lounge, I helped a hopelessly confused E climb up to the station platform. I followed with a mighty leap afterwards. So what is going on? I can't see where I'm going. Are we leaving this place? I wasn't able to let her know I was going up, so I reassured her with a few taps on her shoulder, after which I looked inside the lobby. No debris. Yeah, I mean, can we not set up like a very simple communication system with E at this point, where it's like 1 tap yes, 2 taps no, or something like that? As the way was clear, I went up the stairs to confront the grim sight again. I pondered on Agnos for a moment. Perhaps he was Smiley. How would he know about the stations? How would he have gained a gun otherwise, too? Maybe he was just toying with me. Finally, up the stairs, I saw it all again. I mean, if there's one thing I'm pretty confident on, it's that Agnos isn't Smiley. Like, he's clearly an antagonist of a sort, but he is not. He's not the mastermind here. Marco, Jasmine, G, and Ray were all on the ground, dead. With Agnos admitting he had H's collar, all 5 others were definitely dead. I clenched my teeth and my fists in pure anger, which disappeared immediately afterwards. I didn't want to leave their bodies here, but I could hardly carry them out. Checking their bodies, I saw Marco and Ray's collars were gone. What Agnos said wasn't a lie. You really used them, huh? So the way out is open now. Am I okay with this? Am I okay with letting your killer go rampant, Jasmine? Marco, what do you think? Got another dumb joke? He'd probably say, killer, but I hardly know her, or something to that effect. My strength left me and I fell to my knees. I had no more will to stand up for several moments. I fell to an uncontrollable, sobbing mess. This was real and I needed to get it out of my system. I didn't have a lot of time to mourn and grieve. One thing was for sure. As soon as I'd be out of here, I'd go to the police and notify them about this dangerous man. That was my plan, but it wouldn't bring them back. There was no second chance. I weakly punched the ground before sniffling up my sorrows. I stood back up and squatted to pluck the collars from Jasmine and G's bodies. Of course, they were dead, so the collars wouldn't kill them again. Strangely, they didn't detect me as using force, and they didn't activate either. Perhaps the collars knew that their wearers were dead. But Simon, collars aren't people. People wear collars. Oh, Jasmine. Before I fell in my sorrows again, I got a grip and stood back up. I stashed them in my bag and left the area, never to return. Goodbye, Jasmine. Goodbye, Marco. G, H, and Ray. None of you deserve this either. I mean, Ray, you're kind of a dick, but you probably didn't deserve this. But I was still alive. Not only that, but E was alive too. Assuming we would both survive, this experience was special. It was one of a kind. Even if life returned to normal after this, the 2 of us now shared an undeniable link. We're leaving? I don't know what's taking so long, but I trust you. She offered me a smile as I took her hand in mine again. I trusted her too. I couldn't tell her, but she was warmth. I could be comfortable within it. With her. The 2 of us set off through a tunnel again. More tremors had erupted while we made our way to the security room again. There were no traces of Agnos. I called up the stairs and he wasn't there. I threw the collars out through the scanners. Nothing happened, except that the door closed behind them. If something like this triggered, then clearly that was the way out. Obviously, with the door closed, we couldn't take this exit anymore. I took E's hand again, and we went through another walk. I didn't understand the process, but if it worked, it worked. I made my way back to the science lab. Once we arrived there, I took E up the stairs, and we stood in front of the scanner gate. I still had some apprehension. What if this didn't work? What if Jasmine, Marcos, and the others died in vain? We're right here, aren't we? In front of the scanners. Don't worry, I'm here. We'll be fine. That's correct. We'd be fine. With E's hand in mine, I stepped through the scanners and closer to our good ending. I doubt this is the good ending. Whatever it was that Acnos did, it worked. When we stepped through the scanners, nothing happened. E seemed a little afraid, and so was I, but it was safe. We're done. We're out. I shivered in realization of what we actually accomplished while releasing a breath I didn't even know I'd been holding by the same occasion. I didn't care if Agnes was still blowing up the other stations. I was out of here. I was free. I was with E. But the girl pulled her hand away from mine. I took a quizzical look at her. She reached for her headphones and her mask with both hands. I think they're done. I didn't understand what she meant. Very soon it became apparent. It was her headset. She removed it after messing with the two objects a little. I could see her face. It was some kind of miracle. Perhaps the timing was even too perfect. However, I didn't care. I had thought about this as a potential, but I had never voiced it. I feel bad about that now, that this was some kind of thing that was put upon her, and not something that she actually lived her normal life with. However, I didn't care. In that moment of euphoria, I felt light. This was only making it better. She beamed a smile at me, looking around herself. I thought that she was cute. Everything was gonna be fine now. I knew I shouldn't have insisted on the security and well-being of the situation, but I couldn't help myself. Death flags be damned, this was a good moment. I can see you. The light makes it somewhat difficult, admittedly. We weren't in an area with a strong light, but I figured if she worn this thing over her head every day for the past however many months, then it might have been jarring. You've been avoiding looking at me. Are you embarrassed? There's no need for that. We're out, and everything's over now. I had been avoiding it, yes. Now that her senses had been restored, I felt a little weird about looking at her, or grabbing her hand as I did before. Well, you see... Nonsense. The girl grabbed my hand instead, completely disregarding my argument, which was barely an argument to begin with. You might be wondering exactly what happened, so let me explain just a little then. Maybe you'll be more confident afterwards. Basically, my headset was on to repair my senses. Over many months, it had been working to reapply a new sequence based upon my DNA. You could think of it as 3D printing. They were remaking the interior of my ears and my eyes. Interesting. This technology was still experimental when I was given the option to partake in it. I had no choice, because otherwise I wouldn't have regained my sight and hearing. And now, we're both alive to see it. I'm so glad, Simon. Wait, how do you know my name? Oh, Agnos told me. Bastard. Come on, let's head out. Let's leave this horrible place behind us. Let it disappear. Let's go and take a breath of fresh air. She smiled at me and urged me on. I thought there was no reason to delay it, so I went for it. We stepped further down the hallway, past the scanners. Just like Agnes told me, once we were further in, we found an elevator. This one was one he had told me about, the one that would allow us to leave. Well, we don't actually know that. All we knew is that there was an elevator. There were many buttons. I pressed a few of them, but none of them worked. Try the one labeled with a 0. I tried it, but it didn't do anything. Let's try another one? I tried pushing the one with the -2 label, and it worked. The elevator started moving. I expected it to take a few moments, but it went on and on. The elevator moved for what felt like entire minutes. How far underground was this place? I looked at E, who was just as puzzled as I was. We're way further under the metro? Normally it's not this deep underground. After 5 minutes, the elevator was still going up. Finally, it ceased its movements. Despite that, I didn't think we were above ground yet. I'll go take a look. Do you want to come too? No, I'll keep the door open so that it won't move, no matter what. She stuck her arm through the open doorway, and I nodded, stepping through. I went through darkness for a few moments until I emerged in a strangely familiar room. This is just the scanner room. I'm on the other side now, though. The door's closed on the other side. Maybe it's best not to step through it. What does it mean? Is this Are there many levels of this place, all with a similar contraption? Alright, this is just for, like, my immediate first thought is, like, is there some weird thing where, like, this place is actually set up vertically instead of horizontally? I don't think that's true. My second immediate thought is there, like, 100 different groups of 8 people playing this same game? Right? Like, are we just one of many, many different groups all doing the same thing for some weird purpose? I went back to the elevator to share that thought with E. She looked pensive for a moment. It was so strange to see her face after spending hours before without it being possible. This doesn't feel right. Look at the buttons. They're all numbered in descending order except for 0, which is at the bottom. It goes from -1 to -28. I pushed the button labeled 0, but once again the elevator didn't move. Why is it not working? Maybe I have a hypothesis as to why. First of all, I wish I could know at which floor we'd been before, but it doesn't matter too much, I guess. You know how this is established far below the earth? Maybe whoever did this is using a real place as a cover. Imagine if this place was under the subway. You can't actually reach the ground floor because someone has an elevator there already. If it's the same elevator, tower, whatever they're called, then it might detect something at floor 0 already. That's kind of annoying, because this means until that elevator gets called to floor 1 or 2, we can't really get out of here. You said there was something like a door, right? Yes. There was a scanner hall right at the end of the bend in the tunnel. What was beyond it? There was a closed door. That means maybe they built this place on several floors. An entire system of trains over 28 floors deep into the earth, and we just happened to have been on the, maybe 18th one? Which means the door was closed because people already escaped from that floor. Maybe they're the ones already up there. No, wait. If they were, then this elevator would be up there. Let's test it anyway. She pushed the button labeled -1. The elevator moved upwards again. Yes, that works. The other floors work, but not floor 0. We just have to wait until the elevator's gone and we'll be home free. Okay, what do we do to pass the time then? I don't know. We could share information. She had a very complicit tone. I replied in kind. What, like if I'd heard any plan to assassinate the president? No, you silly boy. I mean stuff like your favorite color. Oh, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Mine's yellow. It's kind of a weird color, I guess. A lot of people don't like it because it reminds them of bees or something. I can't really fault them. Bees don't go for you anyway. Those are wasps. Yeah, well, wasps are also yellow. Yellow and also black. Mine would be blue, I think. That's right, Simon. Or green. That's right, Simon. Number 1 to number 2, baby. Green, huh? Green isn't a creative color, though. Hey, who's prejudiced now? Truth be told, I don't really have a favorite color. I liked all of them. Saying it like that would make me sound indecisive, though. Speaking of sharing information, I still didn't know her name, right? This was the perfect time to ask. Now that we're out, you still haven't told me your name yet. However, there would be no sharing of names, see? Because it's going to be some kind of twist. Sudden tremors that came from the ground made me lose my footing, and I crashed to the ground, similar to what E did. What the fuck is going on? I rose back on the ground, holding for dear life onto parts of the elevator. Oh no, it's Agnos. He got to the science lab, and he's blowing up the elevator? Watch out! It's happening again! I tripped when the next tremor occurred, then I rolled out of the elevator since its doors hadn't closed yet. I must have hurt my ankle because I couldn't rise back up again. Gah! E, are you okay? I checked in with her, but my state wasn't anything great either. I realized what had stopped me from standing up wasn't just my ankle, but my entire leg. More debris came down. The end result was that I couldn't get my lower body up. I reached for E to try to have her help me pull up from the ground, but she'd fallen inside the elevator and she'd sprained her ankle. Hold on to me. We need to go above ground. The 0 button must work now. Wait, no, not this. I don't... She reached for me as the ground fell under me. It freed me, but there was nothing for me to hold on to anymore. I did a miraculous leap forward and I snatched the side of the elevator, even if my lower body dangled above the empty space. If I fall, I won't be... pretty. Grab my hand! She reached for me and I did exactly that, but I didn't think she was strong enough to pull me in. Instead, I reached with my other hand to grasp around the open doors. The closest button was the 0 button. I smashed my hand on it with extreme effort. Gah! It's still not working? You stupid shit. I don't want to go without you anyway. Come into the elevator. Why are you stuck? Why can't you get up? Why is this happening now? Ugh, it's my fault. I should have killed that asshole. No, don't think that it's over. You can still make it in. You have to go on without me. The floor isn't too far below. I think I can make it, then I'll try and find you. No, the floor's way too low. Look under you. It's a few stories tall. She was right. If I let go here, I'd die. Unfortunately, I had lost most control of my legs by now. Falling materials and rubble had irremediably irremediably, I don't know why I can't say this word. I also feel like it's spelled weird. Whatever. Broken my legs. I felt my lower half filled with nothing but pain. Most likely, my blood was staining the entire broken hallway. It was most likely leaking down the side of the elevator shaft and the outside here. My insides were slowly oozing out, mixing with dust and debris. Dust to dust. Ashes to ashes. I pulled myself forward with a louder growl. Finally, I reached further inside. Ah! You have to live! I slammed my hand on the only other button I could reach. I couldn't see it, but if I remembered right, the left column was the odd numbers. The bottom one was -27 then. No! I realized everything but the doors closed out of my neck. I was suspended against the wall by my neck, and the collar detected force being applied. Soon, it beeped. Ah, fuck! I didn't mean for this, but you have to live. Don't worry about it. I'm fine. And then my head rolled into the elevator. Oh, that's not good. The unfortunate result made E scream like a maniac. Of course it would. I couldn't blame her. Due to my mistake, the girl had my severed head next to her, and my neck hadn't even finished cooking yet. The elevator began its descent down to floor -27, where, hopefully, the elevator shaft would survive the next blast from the explosives, and hopefully this wouldn't become a coffin with my head and a pure girl within. She had to suffer this horrific vision because of me. But far from what I expected, she grabbed the sides of my head instead and lifted me up until she looked at me directly. Listen well and never forget. Imprint it in your memories. Don't even think about forgetting. You have to remember, the 4th letter is Y. I had no idea what that meant. I would never find out. I expired shortly after. Thankfully for me, when beheading, the head remained somewhat alive for a short moment. Of course, I couldn't make sense of anything, though. I couldn't even move anything. The pain was like if the world had fallen upon me all at once, and yet soon it was over. My last thoughts were full of regrets, but E would live on. I'm coming, Marco. Jasmine. Wait for me. Head good end, huh? Alright, so that's interesting. They separate these into different categories here. We got 1 out of 5 on green, 0 to blue, 0 to 1 yellow, and 0 to 2 dark green? Alright. The end. The end is reached, but the story is not over. The gears of fate continuously turn, becoming the truest embodiment of an endless circle. Alright. Alright, folks. Well, we've achieved our first ending here. So, okay. I mean, thinking about that, one of the biggest questions that I have coming off of this bit that we just did then is, because the collar worked at the end there. I mean, the entire system wasn't shut down the way that they seem to be suggesting at first, right? So, if the collar still worked, then my question is, how did they get out of the scanner situation fine, right? Because it means one of 3 things. Either Simon is the 9th person, E is the 9th person, or there is no 9th person, and that's a lie, and you can actually leave at any time. Well, thank you for leaving this space empty for spoiler reasons. I love that. That's great. That's really good stuff. Thank you to the various individuals who inspired me. I didn't know this was a Patreon funded game. That's interesting. Okay. Alright, well, folks, that is probably good. I mean, I'll let things fully finish out here. Smile and shine once again, eh? Alright, let's hit escape to return. Yep. Alright, so that's going to do it for today. That's interesting. I don't think that had that little flicker last time, or maybe I'm just forgetting. Alright, well, join me next time as we start up a new journey here. Presumably make some different choices, follow a different timeline, and see what new events transpire. Until then, this has been Downstage Gaming. I've been your host, Josh, and I will catch you all next time.